Hey, how are you? Deep breath every day. Deep breaths, right? That's what we're doing. Let me get myself situated here. How are you guys doing today? Are you on lockdown? Where are you at? In Ohio, we're locked down, although it seems like the essential business list is not what I would consider essential. So it seems like maybe we're not as shut down as we think we are. We'll get started here in just a second. We're going to talk about what a zero-sum budget is. Oh, let me get my kneecap. You like that? I have a weird seat that lets you sit cross-legged because I'm a really, really super fidgety person. So yeah, if you see my knee rise up, I have a special chair, an office chair that lets me sit cross-legged. So hi, how are you? How's your day going? What day is it? I think it's Wednesday. We're going to talk a bit about budgeting, what a zero-sum budget is, like what that actually means. Some thoughts around, I know a lot of people think of budgets as almost like a financial diet. And look at me, I touch my face constantly. This virus is bad for me. Hey, Kyle. Kyle is drinking Berry Blast. I have coffee. So let's say hello to our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by Dry Shampoo and Caffeine. That's who's bringing you the show today. So yeah, it's been a trip, right? I mean, this is pretty crazy, and a lot of people are worried about income. People who haven't lost jobs are concerned about income. Even if you're not concerned about losing your job, many of you have reached out. Your concern isn't that you'll lose your job, it's that you might get sick and you'll have extra bills to pay because our health insurance doesn't cover everything. Or, maybe you're a part-time or seasonal worker. Maybe you work somewhere that doesn't get sick pay. There's just a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know what solutions are going to be offered yet. But regardless of what's going on right now, I want to teach you how to do a budget. So what is a zero-sum budget? That is the type of budget that I've done for our household since, maybe around 08, 09. I lose track back there. It was around the last crash. This is the type of budget that Dave Ramsey teaches about. Many of you know I'm certified through their team to offer financial coaching. But it is the type of budget that I use. So basically what a zero-sum budget is, it's you take your income and you subtract your expenses, and the total at the bottom, or not total, difference, is zero. Your income and your expenses are going to match. And I'm going to show you, because some of you are already thinking, like, I thought we were supposed to save money. I thought we were supposed to invest. Like, why do you want me to spend all my money? So we'll dig into that a little bit. Let me also get rid of this idea that budgeting is restrictive by nature, or that a lot of you like to talk about how you don't like scarcity thinking or the scarcity mindset. Budgeting isn't scarcity thinking. Budgeting is having the maturity and the clarity to prioritize your money. Dave Ramsey always talks about how it's telling your money where to go ahead of time. You tell your money where to go before the month begins. You may figure out that you need to be restrictive in some of your spending categories because your income isn't high enough to meet all your financial priorities. So budgeting isn't restrictive by nature. You can have a ton of income coming in and still have a budget. So it doesn't necessarily, a lot of people think that you only need to budget when you don't have money. Not budgeting is a really good way to not have money. So budgeting is having the maturity and the clarity to prioritize your spending. And what do we mean when we say prioritize our spending? So when the income is flowing, there's lots of extra money to go to the extra stuff. But when things tighten up, or or when there's uncertainty in the environment that you're in. That's when you need to start really thinking about those priorities. I've heard it called a lot of times the four walls. You need to protect the four walls of your home, or you could think of it like the four legs that hold up a table. I like to think of it as this is your foundation. If any of these four categories start to slide, they pull everything with them. So those four categories, no matter whether the money is flowing or not flowing, the top four priorities for your budget in order are housing and utilities, your food. Now look, I'm kind of drawing a blank. I think housing and utilities are separate. Your shelter. Number one is shelter. You have to have a roof over your head. Number two is utilities. You've got to keep the lights on. You've got to keep the water flowing. And in our case, you got to keep internet. That's how we make money in this house. We use the internet. So housing, utilities. The third piece of your foundation is food and health. So you have to have groceries. You have to have something to eat. But you also, when I say health, I want to include in there like prescription medications or anything that keeps you well. I'm not talking about overpriced gym memberships. Maybe now is not the time to have a lot of extras in your house, but keeping your health, because you can do a lot of stuff on YouTube for free if your income is very uncertain. The very last piece of that foundation is your transportation, especially if you are going to work to earn money. So no matter what's going on in your financial house, you've got to keep a shelter, a roof over your head. You've got to keep the lights on, the electric or the water running, your internet, if that's how you're making money. You've got to keep your food and your health going, and you have to be able to get to work to make money. So those are your top four priorities. Beyond that, you'll see where your money goes. When the money is flowing, you got a lot of extras. And when it's not, you'll get to prioritize. But that's what budgeting is. It's just prioritizing the money that's going to come in, because you cannot sustain a life living on credit cards if you're using your credit cards, if you're using more money than you have to go out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to end up in trouble. Okay, so let me show you the exact budgeting worksheet. So I've created a template for myself. I'll get all of these up on the website. I'm going to show you quite a few different templates, but the truth is, you just need pen and paper. You don't need a fancy template. If you're super into spreadsheets like I am, I use Google Docs. You can use Excel. You can use whatever you use on Mac. I'm not sure I'm not a Mac user. So you don't need to buy templates, but I will get these up on the website for those of you that are like, Brittany, I just want this done for me. So let me get in here. I need to share my screen. I'll be here in just a second. All right. So this is what the personal budget worksheet looks like. And basically what you're doing is, sorry, I'm clicking around here. Okay. Basically what you are doing is you're going to put all of your income in. So you start with whatever your job is. You can also include, so this is all the money that might come in over the next time period. I like to do these monthly. I think that's just easier for everybody. Some people, yeah, we're just gonna focus on monthly. Sorry guys, it's been a long week and it's Wednesday. Okay, so you're gonna have things like your job or whatever your main income source is. This might be if you have a 2-income house, you could put 2 different incomes coming in. Do you have a side hustle? Maybe you're selling a product. Maybe you do coaching or counseling, whatever that is. If you have multiple revenue streams, I want them all in here. I want you to include the interest in your bank accounts. Are you going to receive any gifts? Are you anticipating any money? You could include a tax refund, since I know that's coming up right now. So let's go ahead and plug in. Let's say that you bring in $3,600 a month from your main income. You have some sort of a side income that brings in 500. Interest rates are pretty bad. Let's say you're going to get 10 cents. I want you to include it, even if it's only 10 cents. And let's say that you have, I don't know, a birthday coming up, and I don't know, Aunt Linda always sends you a check for 25 bucks. I don't know. Let's just fill it out. Okay, so we can see all of the money coming in, and down here, I have a total. So on a spreadsheet, you would just have a sum going, or you can use a calculator. So we've got $4,100 coming in. I'm going to explain this bottom section in just a bit. Okay, so we have all of our money that's coming in over the next month. What is the money that's going out? I always have savings and investments. That's a big part of our lifestyle, is to always save a little bit. So let's say that we were planning on having $400 go out. Let's say that your mortgage was $900. You've got a car payment of $360. Maybe your electric bill is $125. I'm just making up numbers. Obviously, yours will be different. Internet is $70. Let's say you have a $100 phone bill. Groceries, guys. This one's going to be tricky for some of you because you don't actually know, you don't actually know what you spend on groceries, do you? It's okay. It's okay. You can admit it. This is a safe place. A lot of us don't know what we spend on food, and it ends up being a pretty big part of our budget. So if you're not sure, this would be a good time when you're building your budget to go back through bank statements, credit card statements, and look and see, what did you spend last month? What did you spend 2 months ago? Or maybe you take the last 90 days and you average it out. I want you to do this, and we're going to get into tracking spending in just a bit. But for now, we'll keep working on our budget. And if you really aren't sure and you're trying to get this done, guess what? It's not going to be perfect the first time. It's not going to be perfect next month either. And it probably won't be perfect the third time you do it, but you're going to get better each time. So let's just take a guess. And then as the month, so even, I don't want you to not do this exercise because you don't want to go through your bank statements. So we can still do this and adjust it as the month happens. All right, groceries. Let's say that you spend $600. Eating out, that's different than groceries. I don't want you to put all of your food into one category. I want you to break out the eating out and the groceries so that you have a really clear idea of how you're using your money. Because if things tighten up, and eventually things do tighten up for everyone, I mean, we ebb and flow. So when things do tighten up, eating out is one of the first categories that we can scale back on because eating at home is cheaper. All right, so let's say that you're spending $150 eating out. Entertainment. Entertainment is Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, Spotify. It's going to the movies. It's renting movies. It's anything that you would deem entertainment. Do you have Disney Plus? Stuff like that. So let's say that next month we're going to spend $90 on entertainment. Let's say that you've got maybe $25 a month on a gym membership. And here's where you're going to add in anything else. It might be health and personal care. It might be maybe you have medical bills, student loans, insurances. Just to give you an idea, I'll pull up a list of possible expenses, and I'll make sure to put those in the Facebook group just so everybody has them. But that's how this budget works. You got money in and money out. And then down here at the bottom, when you put in all of your necessities, not necessities isn't the right word. When you put in all of your expenses, everything that you know that you're going to spend for sure, you can come down here, and under normal times, I like to call this goal money. So if you are building your emergency fund, if you are paying off debt, if you're saving up for a house, you're saving up because you have a baby on the way, a wedding, there's a lot of different things that are bigger that you want to use money for. And so when you put in all of your monthly expenses, Down at the bottom, you're going to have this goal money. And that is the money that is left over after you pay everything that you know you're going to pay. This is what you get to use for whatever the big goal is. Right now, under current circumstances, this is what? March 25th, 2020. We're in the middle of a viral pandemic. Economies around the world are struggling, to put it mildly. Now is not the time, even if you're thinking like our income is good, I don't feel like anyone's losing their job, I don't think our income is going to slow down. Great. And I hope that that is exactly how this plays out for you. And it very well could. But right now, due to the amount of uncertainty of the timeline of when this is going to end, what restrictions will happen later, there's just a lot we don't know. So right now is the time to put the brakes on any debt repayment. Now is the time to put cash in the bank. Okay? I get a lot of flack from the abundance mindset crowd for not being like overly optimistic that everything's going to work out and we can, I don't know, vision board our way out of this. But guys, the reality is this is going to suck for a while. Like, this is going to really suck for a lot of people. And we're entering a new phase where things are going to look dramatically different for a lot of us. And cash is queen. So right now, whatever your goal was, I need you to just not get rid of it. We're just going to put it on a shelf. We'll dust it off later. But your goal right now is cash in the bank. Cash in the bank, cash in the bank. I want you to get as much cash in the bank as you can manage. And I can tell you that here we've gone through our expenses and we've already started cutting. Our income hasn't slowed down yet, but I'm looking ahead and I know that it will. When people lose jobs, they stop spending. And this is going to ripple out. So this is going to suck for a while, but we can do this right now, this practice of budgeting, to remove a lot of that anxiety, to remove a layer of uncertainty from our lives. Because when everything is this uncertain, these are the steps we need to take to kind of ground ourselves back in reality. So again, just to recap this, a zero-sum budget is all of your money coming in minus all of the money you know is going to go out, and any money left beyond that goes towards the goal, which right now is to put that cash on her throne, because she is queen. Cash is going to be queen, and you're going to need her. Okay? Okay. Now, let me show you the next thing you're going to need, because this is great as far as building your budget, but your budget's going to be useless if you don't track your spending. So let's grab a spending tracker. So I do this on a spreadsheet because I like spreadsheets. You could do this on a piece of paper. When I first did this, when I first created the very first spending tracker, it was a notebook. It was like a little tiny pocket-sized notebook, and I would just write it all down, and at the end of the month, I'd add up all my things, all my different categories. This makes it a little easier. You hear that Midwestern / Appalachian? It makes it a little easier. Nice accent, Brittany. I work so hard to not have that. Sorry, I've got phone calls coming in. So many telemarketers. Okay. Your budget is worthless if you don't track your spending. So you don't need to do this daily. You really don't. You could come in here once a week. But basically what you're going to do is come through and put in all of those expense categories. Everywhere your money goes over here in a category section. And then every day you can come through and you can put in on the first of the month, the mortgage came out, $28 to put gas in the car. I spent $3.25 at the coffee shop. on food. And then you just go through on day 2 of the month, an auto payment and a credit card payment came out, and you go all the way to the end of the month, and then you can see, well, what did I budget and what did I actually spend? And the really cool thing is as you go through the month, you'll start to see like, ooh, we've been eating out a lot and I didn't budget for that. So where is that money coming from? Where is it going to come from? If you're overspending in one category, it has to come out of another. What category are you going to take it out of? Are you taking it out of your investments? Are you taking it out of car repairs? Like where's it coming from? That's for you to decide. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong with your budget as far as how to spend your money. But at the end of the month, you can't sustain a lifestyle if you have to put spending on a credit card every single month. I want that to be really, really clear. You know, during really hard times, occasionally people do have to, you have to make the hard choice to be like, hey, I actually have no money, Brittany. I have none. I have no money coming in for the next few weeks, and I need to use my credit card to actually eat the bare minimum food. That's a different story. What I'm talking about is that you went to Target and spent $250 when you meant to spend $75, but that outfit was so cute, and then so was that notebook, and then so was that wreath. You needed a new wreath, and then, oh yeah, sheets for the bed, and this and that. If you went to Target and you blew your budget, where's that money coming from? Because it can't keep going on a credit card. Okay? That's it. That's kind of the gist of this, because it's going to burn you. It's going to catch up with you. It's going to get you. So that is how you track spending. It's not complicated. None of this is complicated. I think it's fun, but I'm a numbers nerd. So for a lot of people, they're like, this is not fun either. But, neither is eating like lots of healthy food, but you have to take care of yourself. Again, let me see if I can find it. Budgeting is having the maturity and the clarity to prioritize your money. Okay? What else do I want to show you? Oh, I want to show you how I track recurring expenses. Because when you go to do your monthly budget, there are going to be those little like some things come up every single month, and there's those sneaky annual payments, right? The ones that come in, they just blindside you on a Tuesday, and you're like, what? Like, why did $300 just come out? I wasn't expecting that. So let me show you a spreadsheet that will help you with that. Again, I'll get all these up on my website, so if you really want them, you can get them. What am I looking for? I can't talk and click at the same time. There we go. Recurring expenses. So in this spreadsheet, I've got a section here for monthly expenses, and then on the other side, it's annual. So you can have, mortgage, insurance, student loans, health insurance, electric, Netflix, Hulu, all the stuff that comes out. You'll need a column for the name of the expense. You'll want to track the amount. I like to have a little space for notes because our natural gas bill and our electric bill, they vary. So in the summer, we don't spend as much on natural gas. So I just did an average, and I wanted to just put a note. It's average. Or $500 every 2 weeks into savings or investments. Or do you have $40? We have $40 comes out every 2 weeks that goes into the kids' savings accounts. We have 2 kids, $20 every 2 weeks. Or maybe if you have lawn care, is that only in the summer? And then you also want to put in the date. When does this payment typically come out? Our mortgage comes out on the 1st. Life insurance on the 4th. Spotify on the 17th. I want you to include every little expense you can think of. So there's the monthly. And then I want you to do the same on the annual. Things like Xbox Live or Disney Plus, that online gym membership, Amazon Prime, it's coming out once a year. We pay for trash once a year. That's a hefty payment. I think our payment's around close to $500. It's a year's worth of trash service. You don't want to be blindsided by a $500 expense. And so I do the same thing. Notes, our Disney Plus is $70 a year, but it's not renewing until the year 22. But it'll renew on November 12th. So you have that renewal date in there as well. And then you can actually sum them up. So we have annual fees coming out at $800. This is not my actual, I was just looking, I was like, why are we paying $5,000 a month? This isn't my actual, these aren't my numbers. That's why. But then you have your monthly total. So you know exactly what's coming out, how much, you can kind of budget for that. And it just helps you keep track. There's no surprises. That's the key, really, is you don't want to be surprised. You want to remove that layer of uncertainty so you can get on with living your life. You don't need to spend every day looking at your money, thinking about your money, wondering what's going to happen, wondering if you're going to have enough. This will help you. I promise it will. And this is the exact method I used to pay off $170,000 in debt. So it does work. And it's not complicated. Now let me give you one more thing, and then I'll open it up. If you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comments, and because we'll wrap up here with the things I want to show you. And then if you've got any questions or you just want to share, maybe you use this method and it works for you, I'd love to hear about that. But go ahead and start dropping those in the comments and we can chat about that. What I want to show you next, oh, I keep hitting the wrong button. Let me show you, okay, possible expenses to include in your next budget. I'm not sure if you guys, let me see if I can make that a little bigger. Okay, that's a little big. So this is going to be things like your mortgage, your rent, car payment, student loans, credit cards, all the insurances, all of them, all of your utilities, all of your streaming services, groceries and eating out, clothing. Don't forget clothing, especially now that we're shifting into a new season. You might spend some money on clothing. Not that any of the clothing stores around here are going to be open for a minute. School supplies. If you have kids, education, daycares. What kind of health expenses? Do you have insurance premiums? We have to pay for our own insurance, $900 a month with an $8,000 deductible. I always like to share that because I feel like people don't know what insurance costs. So I like to share the actual number. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I digress. Your entertainment and fun, personal care. Don't forget beauty. Do you get your hair cut? Do you get it colored? I have extensions that I have to figure out how to take out because our salon's closed. But entertainment and fun, personal care, travel, gifts, charity. Do you give to charity? Do you have pets? Something else to consider would be things like auto expenses. So maybe you want to put a place in your budget where you're setting aside $20 a month, $50 a month, whatever it is for auto repairs. But don't forget that you got to put gas in that car unless you're driving a Tesla. Retirement. That's going to be a possible category. Seasonal items. Generally around the month from September to December, our budgets increase because school's back in sessions. We have increased spending on clothing, increased spending on school supplies, school fees that we didn't have. But then we also have fall and Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So the food budget goes up. The extra stuff, how the miscellaneous budget goes up. But the home decor budget goes up because people like to decorate for the fall and for the winter. So those are things to think about. What about your taxes? If you have a business, are you going to be paying quarterly? Do you owe sales tax? What kind of thing, do you owe taxes? Sometimes that gets forgotten. Subscriptions and memberships. Again, that's a great place to have that recurring expenses. The recurring expense sheet. Oh, guys, I feel like I'm running on steam. But yeah, so that's the budgeting basics. You want to take your income minus your expenses, and then whatever's left, that's going towards your bigger financial goals, and that brings you to zero. A budget doesn't have to be restrictive. There will be seasons that are tighter than others, but it's not scarcity thinking to have a plan for your money. Crystals aren't going to help you through lean times. They're great. I love them. I have them all over my house. I am a subscriber to there are energies on this planet that we don't understand through science. I'm cool with all that, but I still have a plan, right? There's that story, that old parable about the person who is drowning and they're praying for help, and like God sends a boat, or God sends a log, and he's like, oh, I don't know. But the story is basically that God sends a person to help you, and the person's like, I'm fine, I'm waiting for God to save me. And the person ends up drowning, and they get to heaven, and they're like, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I gave you all the tools. What did you want me to do? So you're not going to be able to just think and wish and hope and pray your way out of lean times. All of those things are great, but you still need a plan. Got it? You with me? You feel me? But yeah, that's what budgeting is. It's just having the maturity and the clarity to prioritize your money and tell it where it's going to go before it starts to go. And it's useless if you don't track your spending. So you're going to need to track, and that's what's going to help you figure out your budget for the next month. Next month's budget will be easier than your first budget. And your third month's budget will be easier than your second month. And it just gets easier because you just kind of get into a rhythm of where your money is going, and you just know. You just have this innate knowing at some point, and that is what removes that layer of uncertainty, that unsettled. I feel it in my stomach. I don't know about you, but when I feel uncertain and anxious, it kind of hits me here. I lose my appetite, I get jittery, I get shaky, cold sweats, breathing from like up here, all of that happens. And we're all living in a time right now where that's just kind of the feeling. Like it's just this constant low level of uncertainty and anxiety with these nice little peaks of uncertainty and anxiety. So let's get it out. Let's get it away from your money. Not seeing any questions come in. That's cool. If you are watching this later and if you're not here with us live, drop your comments and questions in the comment box, and I'll come in and answer them. What stopped you? I'll ask you all some questions. What has stopped you from doing a budget? What's gotten in the way? Have you done a budget and then just like gave up on it? Or like, do you budget? So these are my questions for you. Do you budget? If you don't, have you ever? If you did, why did you quit? What was hard about it? For those of you who do budget and do this regularly, what are your tips? Like, what's your number one tip to help that person get started or stick with it? I think my number one tip is that you're going to screw it up the first time. Like, you're going to get the numbers wrong. It's okay. You're the only one looking at it. No one's grading this. That's my big tip, is to just know that it's not going to be right in the beginning, and that you'll get it right. You'll get it more correct next month if you stick with it. I think that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you hanging out with me. It has been something. This is something, guys. Okay, we do have some comments. It looks like Maria was drinking water. That is one of my favorite beverages. She's in Toronto and they are locked down, and I'm glad. I'm glad that Toronto is taking this seriously. We're in Ohio and we are also locked down. Kyle, my chief concern to get to zero debt is first to pay off credit cards with high interest after lean times. Great, absolutely. So right now, and Kyle, I know you, so I know that you're in a field where there's gonna be demand, so you'll have work. But I also know that you're in a field where there are budget costs, like budget cuts that happen. And so that can be uncertain too. And so right now, yes, I think the best thing to do is just take any additional money, put it in the bank. Cash is queen. I don't care all those people who say it's king. The queen's always the most powerful piece in chess. Cash is queen. But yes, you're wanting to get to zero debt by paying off credit cards with high interest first. So this would be the debt avalanche. We can get into a little bit of debt payment strategy. There are two that I like, the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. We did the snowball, but the avalanche makes sense for some people too. The avalanche is paying off those high interest cards first because that's the math that makes sense, because you want to pay less in interest, right? Like that's the math. So you just list them in order of highest interest to lowest, and you pay them in that order. So basically you, and in both of these, you pay the minimums on everything, and then all of your extra money towards that top debt. Whatever is at the top of your payoff list, all the extra money goes to it, minimums on everything else. Now the debt snowball is a more, it deals more with the psychology of how we stick with things. So this is what we did. We listed our debts smallest to largest. The interest rate, I don't remember the interest rate being a big concern for us, but the psychology behind it. So some people have a really high interest, big debt that maybe that would be up towards the top of their debt payoff plan. And if it takes too long to really see any momentum, people give up. So the idea behind the snowball is you're going to get wins faster. And the faster you can achieve like paying off those debts, the easier it is to stick with the plan. And so then the last debt for a lot of people, like for us, it was my student loan. 50 grand, paid off 50 grand in student loans. And that was before college was expensive. I was dumb with money. That's what I teach from. I don't teach you like because I had a mentor or someone who helped me and I've just always been good with money. I sucked with money. I was horrible with money. I spent every last dime, never had any money. And I made good money at a pretty early age, and I always was broke. So I am teaching from my experience. There's a lot of people out there who are like, oh, my grandmother was really wise and taught me all these wonderful things. My grandma was wise about a lot of stuff, but I didn't talk to her about money. She probably could have given me a lot of lessons, but that wasn't what we talked about. But yeah, I teach from my mistakes. So, and I teach from my experience. And so, yeah, debt snowball, debt avalanche, either way, either method works. And I think you'll be off to the races once we get a little more clarity on at least the timeline of when this might end. And guys, I know there's a lot of people out there. And I'm an optimist. My husband will tell you, I'm an optimist. But the ripple effect of not just what's happening right now. I was predicting a recession because of the ripple effect from the disruption in supply chains. Just back in January, I was thinking, well, we're going to see a recession because the supply chains out of China have been disrupted, and those disrupted the supply chains in Korea and Japan and their impact in Europe. And we're just going to see this ripple. And my prediction, my friends will tell you, my big, bold prediction was that we were going to see a recession because corporations and businesses are, they're in debt. Like the debt on the corporate debt, which includes small businesses, is close to $10 trillion. And in 2008, it was $2 trillion. So I feel like there was a bubble brewing there, and that when something happened to cause a hiccup, that we would see the economy split kind of open right there. So that's still my prediction. I think we're going to see just how many businesses are using debt to keep their operations going. I think it's 1 in 6 they consider a zombie business right now, which are businesses that are like almost kiting debt. So you like refinance your debt over and over, and not really make any payments, and they don't have enough money to meet payroll, so they're just circulating this debt around. I was reading it was either Forbes or Wall Street Journal that it was 1 in 6 businesses kind of meet that description. So my prediction was that's where the economy was going to actually go south. I didn't see this coming. I got to be honest. Nationwide, like lockdowns in Europe, in other countries, and I know we don't have the national lockdown, but there's a lot of people who are trying to be very optimistic that in a few weeks we're going to get kind of back on track. We're going to start opening up some areas, some businesses will reopen, and that by summer the markets will be back. And it's not true. It's just not going to happen. It's not realistic to expect that, even if we are able to keep a lot of things flowing. And then guess what? This recession is going to be a little different than the 2008 recession in that there are still businesses hiring. So that is a silver lining, in that there are a lot of industries that are still working. And so there are people making money, and it looks like governments are around the world, and I hope ours will follow suit here in the US, that are relieving mortgage payments temporarily and doing things to really help the people. And that is really, really awesome to see. And it's encouraging. I see a lot of corporations and businesses in America who are stepping up to the plate, who are like, no, we're going to pay sick leave, we're raising wages, we're going to do what we need to do. And I do hope that on the other side of this, that we start prioritizing what really matters in our lives again. You know, kind of like in my family, it would have been my grandparents who went through the Great Depression. And I think we're going to be going through something, our own version. We don't know what that's going to look like. But the people who are telling you that everything's going to be back to normal by summer, it isn't reasonable. There's going to be a lot of opportunity, and we will come out the other side of this. And I do think we'll come out stronger as people. We're going to have a little more grit to get through things. Maybe we needed it. I don't know. But we're not going to be back to normal. And to be honest, when we do get back to normal, it's going to look different. This is reset. This is going to reset how things function. Industries will grow out of this. That's another great, I am optimistic. I am an optimist. But I'm also a truth teller. And what I see is rough times ahead. There's going to be struggle, and there's going to need to be sacrifice. And that's just kind of part of this human existence, isn't it? So I'm here to help in the ways that I can help. And that is teaching and sharing and hoping that this information will help you get through whatever might be coming for your household. But again, there will be better days ahead. Because of your closing, I'm moving to drink beer. Hey, you know what? Do what you got to do, Kyle. Do what you got to do. No, it's going to be bumpy. A lot of us made it through the 2008 crash. A lot of you were young and didn't have like real responsibility for that one. This one's going to be different. I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be bumpy. So knowing that, start budgeting now. Remember, budgets aren't just about being restrictive. It's prioritizing your spending to make sure that your basic needs are met, and then the needs beyond just those basic. The 4 walls of our foundation: roof over your head, lights on, water on, Internet is flowing. Got to keep those going. Your health and wellness, which includes your groceries. That's your third foundational principle. You've got to have room in your budget for those. And then the last one is transportation. So for a lot of you, that's a car to get to work. It could be public transportation. For me, the transportation is the internet. Make sure you're taking care of those things first and then prioritize after. Right now, I'd be making minimum payments. I'd pause all of my debt payoff plans if I were in debt, and I would just focus on getting cash in the bank. Don't be afraid to cut expenses. I'm canceling Hulu today. It's $13 a month. It's not life-changing money, but I don't know, we don't really watch it. Like, we watch Saturday Night Live on it, but I have the NBC app, so why do I need Hulu? I'll get it when Handmaid's Tale comes back on, but this is the thing, you can cancel these subscriptions and you can resubscribe. They will always take your money. But hit me up in the comments if you weren't watching this live and you have some questions. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We are 2 minutes past schedule, so I'm going to hop off here, and it's going to be 60 degrees and sunny. We're going to get outside and get some vitamin D, which is great for your immune system. Take care, guys, and if you have questions, drop them in the group. I'll see you later. Bye.